Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Welcome to the Financial Independence Coach, naturally creating freedom, meaning, and wealth. Brought to you by Yvonne Ltd, in association with Brandlive.co.za. And here is your host and coach, Yvonne Venter-Louw.
Good morning, Brand Live streamers and Yvonne Ltd subscribers. Today I have a very interesting topic for you. However, I want you to start thinking, from the minute that you are born, what is the one thing that you are doing? The one thing that you are trying to convey your message to other people. Convey your message that you are hungry, that you are in need of attention. But what is that action that we are actually doing? It's called sales. We are all born with a natural ability to sell as babies. When we get a bit older, and toddlers, we do it perfectly in our tantrums. But somewhere along the line, growing up as adults, we don't understand it. We don't do it. We're not the salesman anymore. Well, today I'm very fortunate to welcome in studio one, in my humble opinion, one of South Africa's best coaches, Mr. Barry Mitchell. Barry, welcome.
Hey, Yvonne, nice to be with you.
Oh, it's absolutely a pleasure to have you here. Now, Barry, I say you are one of South Africa's top coaches, for the fact that I have attended quite a few of your workshops, and every time I walk out from your workshop, I have a total mind shift.
Oh, good.
But first, I want you to tell us a bit more about yourself. Where are you from? Where did you start?
Thanks. So, just a little bit about me. I grew up in Zimbabwe, and went to university, failed university, had to find something to do, ultimately ended up selling, became a sales rep, and I think like most people in sales, never intended to do it as a career path. You know, today I still find that schools don't offer sales repping as a career choice.
Yeah, especially not at their career days. You don't see it there at all.
So that wasn't really, ultimately in simple terms, I was sort of told at home, go find something to do, you need to start getting on with your life. And I got into sales. Mm-hmm. Long story short, met a guy, started a business with him. He taught me a lot around sales, went from there into the corporate world, ended up in South Africa to come and do a turnaround strategy for an American business that I worked for. And that was 18 years ago, and I've stayed here. Just over a decade ago, I started working with a guy called Blair Singer out of the US, who's on a Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Advisors.
Yes.
And through that, over the last decade, really specialized in teaching, training, and building entrepreneurs, predominantly entrepreneurs, in the area of creating wealth and learning how to sell. Mm-hmm. So, I've been doing that for the last decade.
A few weeks ago, I had Dr. Michelle van Tonder here on the show, and we spoke quite a bit about the Blair Singers Academy and the teachings that they do there. Now, one of the main things, the main ideas that I've picked up in your workshops is before you can have, you have to be. Yeah. And a lot of people don't understand that there's a difference between having and actually being the person that is able to have. Won't you explain that a bit more for us?
So I think, the first thing is Michelle's a phenomenal trainer and an incredible coach in what she does. And it's great having her. She's part of my team of trainers here in South Africa that we're building and certifying to teach the way we teach. And so she's great. And I know she had a lot of fun with you on this interview. So that was cool.
Oh, we chatted a house on fire and was sad that the show was actually over at the end of the day.
So your question, most people say, I want to have. So, when I ask people in a seminar, what do you want to have? It varies from I want to have lots of money to I want to have $1 million to, or R1,000,000, or I want to have a better life, or I want to have happiness. So a lot of people are focused on what's the happiness, or what's the having that I want to have, But in order to have, you have to be able to do. So what happens is we go, okay, in order to have, I need to be able to do. So we go find out what we need to do. But I don't know if you see that a lot of times that's where it stops. People can tell you what they need to do, but they're not creating what they need to have, even though in their minds, they know what they need to do.
Yes.
Because in reality, it's more important, not what we need to do, but who do we need to be in order to do what we need to do. So, to be an entrepreneur, people say, what do you want to have? I want to be an entrepreneur. And then they spend their life trying to do an entrepreneur. And it's like, okay, so being is mindset. It's not information. It's body, mind, and spirit. It's who you become that will allow you to be able to have what you want to have. So take an Olympic athlete. Yes, you have to have some talent. You've got to be able to run. You've got to be able to do all this. But ultimately, it comes down to not your information about how much you know about the Olympic Games.
Yes.
As to your ability to get into those blocks and go when the gun goes, because you have the being in your mind to allow you to be able to compete at that level. How many people have lots of talent but can't compete at a very high level because their mind doesn't allow them? So two key areas of teaching. One is skills development. So the skills development is the doing. Learning how to do, learning how to pick up the phone, connect with people, write script, all that sort of stuff. The second part is personal development, which is really shifting who you are and the way you think and what your being becomes. When you put the two together, that's when you create real growth. Most teaching and training, in my observation, is all around skills. I don't know if you see that.
Oh, definitely.
So tons of skills. So we'll develop skills. So you put people in there, walk out with a huge manual full of stuff and go, hey, look what I learned. 2 weeks later, they're not applying anything because they actually haven't shifted their mindset. So a lot of the areas that we work on is predominantly around shifting your mind. Because when your mind is ready to do something, you'll find what you need to do. Or who can do it for you. So putting the two things together, and there's a number of aspects to be able to do that. So the next piece of that is not what do you need to do to have, what do you need to do to be. So what are you doing to be? So in personal development, and lots of your listeners will know this, visualization, affirmations, all that. Lots of people know what to do, but they're not doing those things in order to change their being.
Yes.
Because they don't see the having arrive. So it's like, I'm doing affirmations and the having's not coming. It's about doing affirmations so I grow my being, so it allows me to go do what I need to do to have the having.
Exactly.
If that makes sense.
Well, put it this way. In the 22 years that I've spent in the financial industry, I went for product courses and sales courses and now with my research now for my thesis, I've been going through all that information, and it's a lot of information, but none of that information actually turned my mindset. It's literally like an information overload, stacks and figures and charts, but none of it changes your mindset to actually become the person who.
So often in my seminars, I'll say, I often start off at the beginning of the seminar. I say, one thing I'm going to say in this room is most of you know too much. And
example.
And what happens is we get stuck on what we think we know. And one of my favorites, sayings, I don't even know where I heard it from in the beginning, but it's you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. And it's what you know that's got you to where you are. It's what you don't know that'll get you to where you need to go. However, most people are stuck on all the stuff that they've put in their head. And you hear people say, yes, but I know that. Yes, but I know that. It's like, whoa, stop. So it's step back, knowing sometimes we just think too much. And so there's the difference between, so I'll say to people, what do you want to become? I want to become a millionaire. Okay, I go, great. Okay, so what do you need to do to become a millionaire? Well, I need to do, okay, good. So what's happening? And then I'll say to them, okay, good. So first step, why don't you come to one of my seminars? Yeah, no, I'd love to come. And then I go, okay, so it's 10,000 rand. And they go, no, I can't come. I go, why not? Because I don't have any
money.
No, I don't have any money. I go, okay, so why don't you find the money? If it's, no, I can't do that. So now their being is not big enough to get through a 10,000 rand problem. How are they going to become a millionaire? If you can't, if your being doesn't allow you to see how to overcome a 10,000 rand problem, how are you ever going to
Then you won't be able to overcome that having that million.
100%. So now you have to become big enough to see your way over the 10,000 rand, and then it's over 20,000 rand, then 50,000 rand, and that's the deal. So you know, and that comes down to a whole lot of factors: emotional intelligence, growing your spirit, growing your level of confidence, changing your self-concept, all those type of things to become a bigger being that allows you to be something big enough to do what you need to do to have. So a lot of people go, this is what I want to have. It's huge, but their being doesn't allow them to push over the obstacles that they need.
Yeah, they basically they're walking around in a shell of knowledge and not being true to themselves and what they need to be to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, give you an example. I deal with people that, I don't know, write a book, for example, on how to be a great entrepreneur. And the next breath, they tell me that they can't afford to come and do this. And I'm going, on one side, we're teaching what we know, but we can't do it.
Exactly.
So it's putting those things together in terms of, okay, so now you have all the information because you've written a book or you've done a blog or whatever it is. Can you change your being to apply what you know? And that allows you to become, that goes into a whole lot of things around congruency and behaviors, all that sort of stuff.
And all the psychology behind it. I mean, it's the same as, I work with a couple of accountants, and accountants, they should be being counters, they should know all the facts and figures, and then you sit with them and you say, okay, now tell me what is the facts and figures of your business. But they can't tell you what is happening in their own business, but they can tell you what's happening in their client's business and how their clients are supposed to run their businesses.
Well, isn't that what they're meant to do? That's how they were trained. They were trained, many accountants were trained to do what? To account for somebody else's business.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, how often do we see that? I mean, what's the old saying? Cobbler's kids never have shoes.
True.
So a cobbler's great at making shoes for someone else, but his kids run around with no shoes. So that often happens is we can help and teach everybody else, but often we're not applying it into our own lives. So it's being able to take that, just because I can manage accounts for somebody, does it mean that I know how to create wealth for myself? Well, maybe not.
And that's where the big difference comes in.
Yeah.
Okay. Guys and girls, we're going to take a quick break to listen to some ads, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Brandlive.co.za is thought leadership radio. It's a new way to communicate your brand, your value, and what we think about your industry. Be a leader, be a voice, and we will help you shape your industry. Our radio platform is for thought leaders who want to share insights, businesses who want to create value for their databases, organizations who want to control their message, for those that drive change. Make your brand come alive on brandlive.co.za, harnessing the power of talk radio.
Brandlive.co.za.
In your face, all over the place. We're online 24/7. 24/7. You're listening to the hottest internet station.
Brand Live.
No doubt.
And we're back. Oh dear. Not breaking the studio down. We are on brandlive.co.za, the Financial Independence Coach, brought to you by Yvonne Pty Ltd. And we are chatting to Barry Mitchell with regards sales is a life skill. Now, Barry, before the ad break, we were talking about what people need to be in order to have.
Yeah.
Now, like I said to our production manager earlier, I'm now busy on the third time reading through this book and comparing it to every single other sales course that I have been on. And it's a totally different game.
Okay. What are you finding different about it?
What I'm finding different about it is all the other sales courses that I've done. It's all about, like you said, it's skills. Okay, this is the product knowledge. This is how you put it to the client. This is. And it brings me to that favorite saying of you become a person that just vomits information onto somebody else instead of having them sell the solution that you offer to themselves.
Yeah, so I think if we go back to the be, do, have sort of part when it comes to sales, and a lot of it's skill. So lots of times we teach skill. Okay, so I teach a lot of skill around sales. But let me ask you this. So one of the key skills in sales is being able to pick up the phone and connect with people.
Yes.
Okay, do you know how to use a phone?
Of course I do.
Okay, so you know how to use a phone. Do you know how to dial the numbers?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So if I said to you right now, we're going to have a bra on Friday, phone 5 friends, could you do that?
Of course.
100%. Now, if I said to you, we are going to put on an event on Friday, I'm putting on an event, please quickly phone 5 people and invite them. Now what happens?
Okay, what kind of event is it and who can I invite?
You see, so the skill is there, but suddenly what kicks in is the little voice that goes, uh-oh, I don't know enough now. There's not enough information. You haven't told me enough. But the skill is there. The skill to pick up the phone is there. So suddenly our mindset starts kicking in. I don't know enough. I can't do this. I can't do this. And the biggest sale of all is the sale to our little voice. So when you start creating a big enough capacity in your mind, you go, so if you said to me, Barry, we're having an event. Are you interested in inviting some people? I go, yeah, quickly tell me about what's the event. It's entrepreneur. Okay, good. Who would I know? Okay, good. Hi, John. There's a great event coming. Can you take action and shut down that little voice? Now that's mindset. So it's not the skill. So we can spend days and days and days teaching you the best scripts, how to speak on the phone, do all that sort of stuff. But then you go sit in your office and you have to phone, and suddenly that phone starts growing because that little voice, if you're not working on getting through that little voice gets bigger and bigger, and then it's like, what happens if they say no, and what happens if they think I'm this, and no. Oh, that cup of coffee looks much better than getting on the phone, and the email and the Facebook. And
exactly.
So that's the power. As your mind grows, then you have the ability to be able to apply those skills, and the bigger your capacity, the bigger your ability to sell yourself on taking bigger and more action, the bigger the results, the more you have.
And in the same breath, you get a lot of entrepreneurs networking sessions and collect the stacks and stacks and stacks of business cards and do nothing with it. I remember in one of your workshops, you told us about your mentor that told you to go out and get the business cards.
Yeah.
And once you got all the business cards, he told you that you actually have to physically not just collect the business cards, but to go face to face and get the information or the contact number from the people.
Yeah, so part of it is when you're connecting with people, what are you doing with the connections that you get? So that little task, and I often do it when I start up new salespeople, or when I'm working with a sales team to get them to blast through their little voice. It's what we do is we pretty simply I just say to them, what are you doing Wednesday morning? So if I was working with you, I'd go, okay, Yvonne, what are you doing Wednesday morning? And guarantee you're going to have a whole lot of things that you got planned.
Well, I could always open my diary.
I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Now, what I'm going to hazard a guess is as soon as I ask you what I'm about to ask you, your diary will start filling up even more. So what I'm going to say is, if on a Wednesday morning, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to park. What's the closest business-related area to where you live?
Oh, well, I'm about 2 k's from Northgate.
Okay, good. So I'd like you to find a business park there. I'd like you to park there at 7:30 in the morning. Send me a WhatsApp when you park there. And your role for the morning is to go out and collect 50 business cards in person. Knock on a door, meet a business owner, collect the business card. And that's all I want you to do. When you've got 50 business cards, give me a call, tell me it's done. Okay, now, your diary started filling up, hasn't it? It's like, well, but maybe if I can move this appointment, see, that's all mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So now what happens is if you actually go do the task is about teaching you to get through that little voice. Can you go knock on doors? So the first step is get through that little voice to learn how to knock on doors. The second step is be able to then turn that on whenever you need it. So, to start off with, can you do what's needed to be done by teaching your little voice to stop that holds you back? Because when that comes up for a lot of people, it's like, how many business cards? What do you mean I got to go knock on doors and just meet strangers? All little voice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to being is your little voice. When you can get through that first sale of all, which is the sale to yourself, you can get through all sales. You can sell to anybody.
I remember years and years, and I don't want to give my age away, years back when I was just finishing matric.
Right, 10 years ago.
Oh, don't flatter me so much, Barry. I was busy.
It just depends on how long you took to get through matric.
Well, it just took me like the normal, 6 months? And I was finishing up with matric just before my final exams, and I took on a holiday job, which was door-to-door sales. And a lot of the people that I worked with at that stage, may it be that they were 10 years older than me, did not have the courage to walk up to a door, knock on it, and say, this is who I am and this is what I'm selling.
Yeah, so is it courage, or is it they couldn't get through that little voice?
Well, at that stage, I thought it was courage. Yeah. Not being able to muster up the courage to just say, hi, here I am.
So the older we get, the bigger the little voice gets if we don't deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more we get concerned about what other people think, the bigger that little voice gets about what we have to do. The younger you are, you go to kids' little voices. If I want an ice cream, I'm going to shout and scream that I want an ice cream. And they're not worried about what anyone thinks around them. But over a period of time, and yes, there's that fine line between how to respect other people and do all that sort of thing, but also the other side of that is the fine line between how are you allowing your little voice to stop you because you're too worried about what everyone else thinks. So as you get older, it's like, oh no, I can't just walk into that thing and knock on doors. But at 17, 18, or whatever you were like, hey, I got to do this because I got to get out there and go knock on doors. So, yeah, so that's our mind. As we grow, so we get more and more conditioned, and the stronger our conditioning becomes, the harder it is for us to push through and sell to ourselves on a reason why we should rather than a reason why we shouldn't.
I mean, I look at my 4-year-old, and he is an absolute brilliant salesman, although he refuses to talk properly. But he can sell everybody around him on the idea what he wants right now.
Yep.
And somewhere along the line, as we as humans grow up, we give into that little voice and no longer...
Yeah, so the little voice is always there. I don't really believe the little voice ever goes away. The question is, as you grow, can you get over a bigger little voice? So when you start your first business and you've got to borrow 10,000 Rand, there's a little voice that comes to it. As your business grows, that 10,000 Rand goes to 100,000 Rand, then to 1,000,000 Rand, then to and it's always, you've always got to overcome the challenge, and that's overcoming that little voice that can stop you. So it's teaching people. Well, one of the biggest fears is that I'm wrong. If I do this, am I going to be wrong? What are other people going to think? That's also a product of school. You're either right or you're wrong.
And that's where that whole fear of rejection comes in, and that little voice then kicks in. And
fear of failure.
Fear of failure.
School teaches you that if you make mistakes, you're wrong, you're a failure. So Now, when we're going to knock on doors, if you take it to its simplest term, you're going to knock on doors. That little voice comes up. But what happens if I offend someone? Then I'm wrong. Now it just keeps going round and round and round. And until you start really learning how to get through that, that's what holds us back. You know, South Africa right now, we have lots of big little voices around a whole lot of things.
And some of them are not just speaking, they are really shouting.
Yeah, but for me, I just know this. What can I do in my own personal capacity to sell to me to change what I'm doing to make an effect on where I'm at? Because there's lots of stuff that I have absolutely no control over, but I have control over my mind.
And it's starting with what we can change in ourselves to affect the environment around us, and that will, as result, affect more people.
100%.
Well, Barry, it was absolutely lovely having you here. But please tell us, where can our listeners get your book, Sales is a Life Skill?
That is a great question. Where they can get Sales is a Life Skill is attend one of my free programs, or come to my Sales Explosion program, or Sales and Leadership Mastery program, and in all of those rooms, we supply the book out of that room.
And you also, in those rooms, you also have a few other books from Blair Singer, like Overcoming Your Little Voice,
100%.
and from Robert Kiyosaki, which you also work with regards to awakening your financial genius.
Yeah, we're doing some really exciting work in that space that I'm doing with Blair through our association with Robert around. So I think there's two key sides to becoming financially free. The first side is you've got to be able to sell, because sales equals income. So if you can't sell, you can't earn money. If you can't earn money, it's very hard to be able to have or have the income that you need in order to be able to move forward. To become an investor, you have to be able to sell. You better be able to sell other people to invest in what you're doing. So wealth is the core skill, and Robert says this: number one skill in business and in life is your ability to sell. So we teach people to sell. The second thing is we run I think it's a very powerful program based on a book that Robert wrote called Why the Rich Are Getting Richer, and it's a program where we teach based on the principles of Rich Dad and the Rich Dad Advisors, which has been a lot of fun. But now taking those two and putting them together, when you sell, you start earning income. What do you do in order to be able to? Who do you need to be as someone that creates wealth in order to move into the business owner and the investor quadrant to start creating wealth? So, yeah, very blessed. Have a lot of fun. Love what I do, and I believe that. Honestly, I just believe we in South Africa right now, we're living in some of the most opportune times. We live on the most abundant continent in the world, and when I look around what some other countries are doing in the world, with what we have in South Africa, resource-wise, people-wise, energy-wise, man, we could be 100, 1,000 times bigger than what we are.
There is so much opportunity. We're just not.
Well, it comes back to how we're thinking, not what we know, not the information. It's how we're thinking. I ran a program yesterday, had 45 people in the room. During our program, we did a sales exercise out of the room. And with 45 people, they closed 3.28 million rand in business.
Oh, congratulations!
In 12 minutes.
Oh, wow!
And the response was, wow, there is money out there, and that's the deal. But over 3 days, I'd worked with the whole group around shifting the way we think, and then they took action, and it was like, so there is a lot of stuff out there. If we were, and the power in that room was people started working together, and started going, Yvonne has this, Barry has this, this is how we do it, and we started creating results. So, yeah.
Okay. Barry, it was absolutely lovely having you here on the show today.
Thank you.
I will, on our website and on our Facebook page, post all the information to how to get hold of Barry at his workshops, what workshops he has for the upcoming future, and then we'll see you guys next week. So from myself, Yvonne Elizabeth Venter-Louw, from Yeffel Pty Ltd and brandlife.co.za, and from Barry here with us in the studio, shalom, and we'll see you next week.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za